Welcome to Isaiah's Reviews Podcast. My name is Isaiah. My co-host name is Sam. You can get to all my social site links through my website, isaiahsreviews.com. You can get to Sam's social links through his website, flipframevideos.com. You can also hire Sam because he runs a small video production company, so if you need anything done, weddings, home tours, music videos, and more, just go there. Listen to this podcast on YouTube, Facebook. You can stream it off the website, isaiahsreviews.com, Tumblr, and SoundCloud, and Spreaker. So now let's get this show on the road. Alright, so we're finally back doing Spring, what we were supposed to do a few weeks ago, but we're finally getting around to it, and hopefully you guys watched Spring. It was on Amazon On Demand. If you have Prime, that's free. It's sort of like Netflix, but the synopsis of Spring, apparently 2014 is when this came out. I think on Amazon On Demand they said 2015, but it's about a young man in a personal tailspin. He flees the U.S. to Italy, where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark primordial secret. It's one of those movies that, I don't know if it's like a super original thing. I guess it could be, but I don't know. It's just one of those little cheap movies, I think, because it seemed like they made the whole thing like with a little steady cam or something, because there's like a lot of
they did some pretty cool
floating camera scenes.
Yeah, I think they had a drone, to be honest,
because they did. Yeah, with some of the sky stuff.
Well, there's a lot of sky stuff. There's some scenes where, because it's shot in Italy, I can't remember exactly where it was shot in Italy, and it's in a town where there's like narrow corridor kind of like roadways, and there's one shot in particular where the camera goes from like the road and it's like low angle, and then it kind of pans around where like a crime scene happened. We'll get into that, and then it pans out from the road out over into the ocean, like over the ocean. So it's definitely, I think they shot a lot of it on a drone, to be honest.
Yeah, I was wondering, my mind's not even registering drones now. Like, I don't know why, because you think, okay, they filmed that shot with a Steadicam and they were able to blend it over to computer graphics for the city scene, but you're right, it's probably a drone, because it does seem to go at a steady pace, and then it reaches the end of this little walkway, and then it just shoots off.
Yeah,
and then you're able to see the town and stuff like that in the water. I mean, it was cool. There was a lot of cool shots.
Yeah. I think and their budget was probably limited, because there are some scenes that look like it might have been shot on a red, and then a lot of like the scenes shot, not hovering around like that, could have very well been. And then they may have had like a heavy duty drone that they were able to mount like a red to and get some shots like that. And then some of them, I almost felt like it might have been shot on like a Phantom, you know what I'm saying? Like a 4K Phantom or something like that. So I don't know, but they did a good job of like blending it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and here's a little trivia thing on IMDb. It says the director talks about the aerial drone photography. He said, we had a very meticulous shot list and had a well thought out approach to the photography of the movie. And after all that was done, our first AC Steadicam operator came to us and said, hey, I've got this new drone. I just bought it. Should I bring it for the production? Yeah, so it was Steadicam and drone.
There you go. Yeah.
So boom, we were right. I mean, you could tell that. I mean, since you brought it up, I was like, yeah, that does look like a drone, because I thought it was awesome. And this has to be a really low budget, and this is cool that you can buy kind of over the counter stuff and then make this. I think.
Oh yeah, I agree. I thought that was pretty cool. And well, anyway, I guess we'll go further, but and get into the plot, because the film itself, not just the cinematography, but the film itself is very interesting and in terms of the subject matter. So, you want to break it down?
Yeah, you can start it off, because I do remember the ending.
Okay.
So I'm a little fuzzy because it's been like 3 weeks, I think.
All right. Well, we start off with the main character. Evan, I believe is his name, and immediately, like, based on what I saw from the trailer, I thought it was just going to be like a very dark and brooding horror film, and it's kind of lighthearted, actually. I mean, what happens to him at first is kind of sad. It opens up with him. He's, I believe he's in a bedroom with his mother, who's laying in bed, who is sick, who clearly looks like she's got cancer. And he's talking to her. There's some dialogue back and forth, but then she passes right in front of him, and it's just like I don't know, it's a very sad scene. Like the look on his face is when he sees her pass, it's just like he knows she's gone. He goes into work where I think he works at a bar, looks like a local pub, and this is, I don't know if I mentioned it already, this is in California somewhere, and probably L.A. actually. He goes to a bar. He's there with a buddy and or another coworker, but I don't think he's on the clock. He's just there hanging out. And there's some pretty funny banter back and forth between his buddies and him. Another guy walks by and starts trying to talk crap about him or something. Like tries to get into a fight with him. And the other guy talks him down. He's like, "Dude, this guy's just been through a lot of shit. You know, back off." And the guy's like, "Okay, well, let me get a cigarette." And he's like, "I roll my own cigarettes, and I got, I don't have any on me." And then, so the guy turns around, and for some reason, the main character, Evan, just flips out, grabs a beer bottle and beats the crap out of this dude.
Yeah.
And then they kick him out, and they're like, "Dude, what?" They freak out on him. Like, "What's your problem?" Well, I mean, they obviously know that he's been under a lot of stress, so they kind of let it pass. He goes back home. There's a girl. It's not at this point. It's not very clear whether or not. I don't think she's like a girlfriend. I think they're just kind of like friends who they're fuck buddies essentially.
Yeah.
And they're talking, and she's like, "You just need to go. You need to go somewhere and just get away from here, and just put all of this behind you." Because also he had lost his father. Oh God, I can't remember how, to be honest. But I know he lost his father a year prior to this, or I think it was a year prior to this. He lost his father, and then he lost his mother. So he's been under a lot of stress. He went to, didn't he go to Harvard? Or he went somewhere like a prestigious.
I'm not sure. I don't really remember that, but he just, I mean, it does a good job of just showing you it's quick. Like this,
it
takes
moves
place
fast.
pretty quick.
But it does establish that he went to a prestigious college, and he's had a hard time finding a job for some reason.
Did he have to come back to take care of her, and then
Yes.
he just took like a job?
That is, you're right. His dad. Okay, that's what happened. His father died, and then his mother got sick, and so he had to put his life on hold to come take care of her. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And that's why he hadn't been able to have a decent job, and he's been working at that bar or that pub or whatever. And then she passed, and then so the movie moves forward from there. But then he ends up going to, and I don't remember where he goes to first. It's not Italy at first. He goes to Europe.
Yeah.
And then he meets up with two guys.
That was funny.
Yeah, they were pretty funny, and they were just like, "Look, go with us. We're gonna go down to." I mean, they were like, I think they're British.
Yeah, they were kind of just like, you might as well say backpacking Europe or whatever. That sort of thing. They were just traveling and experiencing everything, and they just kind of carried him along for the ride.
Right. And then they go down to Italy, or a beach in Italy. So somewhere in Italy, it's a very beautiful place.
Yeah.
I know they reference the name numerous times, but forgive me, I haven't seen the movie in over a week. He goes down there, and then they're like, "We're heading out, bro." Like at one point, there's this really beautiful Steadicam shot. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before they leave, once they first get there, they're walking through the city, and there's this beautiful Steadicam shot that's behind them walking. It's in slow-mo. The camera is like following Evan, and you kind of like see what he sees. The camera pans up as he's looking up, and then it pans back down to him, and then it pans to the right, and you see this really beautiful girl just kind of sitting on a bench, and you see her like looking down, and then she looks up and smiles at him. and the camera kind of stays on her for a second, and then it pans back to him, and we see that he's looking at her too. They lock eyes, and that's when we first get established or first get introduced to
The lure.
yeah. The girl,
Oh,
what's her name? Louise.
I don't know.
Yeah, Louise.
Louise.
Louise, or whatever.
Yeah. Oui.
Luigi. Anyway, she doesn't say anything to him. She gets up and walks away. Him and his two buddies party, I guess for a night or whatever. They go to a bar and she's there. Well, Evan's like, I'm gonna go try and talk to this girl, and they're just like, oh yeah, go buddy, good luck, because there was a moment when he first met them where he tried to talk to some girls and it failed, and so they were kind of making fun of him for it. But anyway, he goes and tries to talk to her up into the bar, and she immediately just goes, come with me, let's go do it, let's go get it on.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like, whoa, hold on now, whoa. Look, I'd rather get to know you first. Do you want to go out to eat tomorrow night? He's actually trying to be not a prick.
Yeah.
And she's just like taken aback by it. She's like, "Wait, dude, I'm just trying to fuck you. Like, come on."
Yeah, what's the problem?
Yeah. And he's just like, well, hold on now. I'd rather take you out and get to know you first before, anything. Like, I feel like we got something kind of good going on here. And she's just like, she like rolls her eyes, and she's like, you blew it, dude, and just walks off.
Yeah, that kind of. I think she ended up leaving or something, but he ended up staying.
Yeah, he stayed there at the bar and got wasted with those two guys.
Yeah, and then stayed there, period, whenever they were ready to leave, because he just wanted to find her or pursue her.
The very next scene is like he sits down with them. They get plastered. They can, those two guys can drink because they're, I guess, Irish or Brit. I don't know. They drink all the time.
Yeah.
Poor Evan can't handle it. Anyway, he wakes up the next day in their hotel room, hungover as shit. The two guys wake him up. They're like, "We're heading out. Do you want to go with us?" And he's just like, "No, I want to stay here."
so they just leave him. Bye.
They're like, "All right, see you, dude."
Yeah.
He ends up finding an old man with a farm, right?
And then ends up working for him for a place to stay, and I don't know if he pays him or just gives him a pay. I'm sure he pays him something.
He pays him a little bit, not much.
Yeah.
He gives him a shitty room to stay in, or not shitty, but it's not like, it's not luxurious, but it's a beautiful farm. I mean, it's in Italy, I say. The whole setup is really pretty. And so he works there with this old man, and this old man kind of becomes like his father figure. I mean, not really, but kind of like.
Yeah, sort of, but he just never really, I don't think the old guy ever, totally just let his comfort zone go with him. It seemed like it was always just this kind of, I don't know, he had something going on too, the old guy.
Well, he had his own personal issues. His wife had died, and he was still hung up over her. And there's kind of a heartwarming moment where he asks him about it, and he talks about it. I don't know. It's really well done. There's also an interesting thing going on with a language barrier where he has to kind of figure out what people are saying. I thought was kind of interesting. The main character.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so I can't exactly remember. I know after he rooms with this old man, or gets a room with this elder man, he finds the girl again, right? Is it that night or the next? I don't know if it's that night or the next day. Does he
follow her into an art gallery or something? Is that what it was?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of a lady on the wall with a green eye and a brown eye.
A brown eye.
Oh. All right. Anyway, and which has some significance later. And this he goes out on a date with this girl, I think, after that, right? Or they end up going to a coffee shop, or they go to get wine or something at some restaurant together. And she talks about how she's traveled all over the world. She's traveled to Mexico. She's traveled a couple different places. They get kind of tipsy. I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, for real.
Sounds good to me because my brain's a little foggy in the middle there.
Okay. Should have a couple drinks while watching it.
Uh,
So anyway, they end up hooking up, and he specifically goes to grab a condom, and she, like, as he's trying to put it on, she just grabs it and throws it to the floor, and they start going at it. And mind you, this woman is beautiful.
yeah.
So he's just kind of like, okay, whatever. Well, the next day they wake up, and I think she's cooking him breakfast or something. He leaves. He has to go back to work. Um, um, I don't know. My mind's a little fuzzy right here too. There's a lot that happens in the middle, but it's just kind of fast paced.
Yeah, we can always fast track, like, I mean, they pretty much establish sorta of a relationship. Like, he just like a little puppy with her, like just a tag along kind of thing.
I just realized that first night doesn't sound. Okay, this girl, I mean,
she goes back to his place, right?
Yeah, I think, or one or the other. Either way, wherever they go, she wakes up in the middle of the night, and I think it's her place because she ends up wandering down the streets, unless it cut to her going back home or something. Anyway, she wakes up, and it has this really wide angle shot down like a narrow pathway, so we can't really see her. But something's wrong with her. She looks skinny, pale, white. Like she looks like Nosferatu meets a woman meets something. She's making these weird noises. You hear a cat on the side of the road, and she stops and looks at the cat and just hisses at it, and then she jumps down. And this is all from afar. We can't really see what she looks like. She pounces it, and the camera cuts, and you hear the cat just like wow, which obviously. It's pretty obvious that she ate the cat. And then the next day it cuts to like some of the policemen walking by and seeing a headless cat on the side of the street. That's
which is cool because remember, headless.
Yes. So that's at that point in the film we're establishing that there's something wrong with this girl. She's either at that part, I thought she was either a werewolf or a vampire.
Yeah, because you really don't have a clue.
No, it doesn't. No, you don't. And I was wondering if the film was trying to like explain, because there was even the scene where she talks about, but if it was trying to show like, and I'm sort of getting ahead of myself, but if it was trying to like show how all these myths could be debunked, like about vampires and werewolves and like how in witches and all that could be debunked by just like evolution or something. Yeah. I think is what the film was trying to tackle. Maybe am I way off on that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really remember what the whole point like on that end was too much. Okay. So I'll take your word for it.
Okay. All right. So. We'll skip forward. So she starts like having weird reactions to her skin and stuff, and she'll like whenever she's on a date with Evan or whatever, she'll be like, "I gotta go, see ya," and dip out, and he's just like, "What the hell?" And then he goes over and stays with her another night. She cooks dinner for him. Well, he goes into the bathroom. And he notices a needle or like some kind of medication that she has to take via needle. And he's just like, what the fuck? And there was actually a scene before that where she was having some kind of reaction, and she had to take this medicine to get that reaction to stop. And so he goes back to her and he's just like, so you got anything you need to tell me? Like, what's going on? And she's just like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, I saw some kind of weird medication on the floor in your bathroom.
Yeah, I think he's assuming drugs, right?
Well, he was assuming that or AIDS.
I guess that would be a big worry.
Yeah, because he was like, do you have something, or is there something I need? And she's like, do you think I have AIDS? You think I gave you AIDS? And he's like, No, I was just worried that I didn't, and then she just cuts him off. She's like, I didn't give you AIDS. You're okay. And it's just kind of like, ooh,
Those are always like uplifting moments.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what I'm talking about? When somebody's like, I didn't give you AIDS. Well, then how did I get it? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
that fucking toilet. All right. Anyway, so anyway, she's like, I didn't. You're fine. I didn't give you anything. I have a condition that I have to keep at bay. Um,
But since we're got like 9 minutes, a lot of sporadic things happen. Like there's this evidence that keeps pointing strongly at her doing all this stuff in this town because there's like blood trails. There's even a scene with her in a old barn where she kind of starts exposing some of the issues that she's having, which is
she starts to look like a werewolf, and that scene where she really looks like a werewolf. But then that changes also, and she does some kind of weird like witchcraft or something. Like she starts painting something on the wall.
I guess that's something that. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but maybe her mother might have showed her.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, so you think at that point, I really was like, she must be a werewolf. She's got to be a werewolf.
Yeah, I was thinking something like something that we would relate to and know, like through history. I was like, okay, she's going to end up being some kind of creature that we can relate to because we've heard it before.
Yeah, but then we cut forward. There's some like American travelers over there. They're a bunch of meatheads essentially. They're the cliche frat boys, and they're out on the beach and they're partying and whatnot. And then it cuts later to nighttime when Evan and her are together. She starts having another reaction, and she's like, "I gotta go." They're out at dinner or whatever, and she's like, "I gotta go." And she gets up, and Evan's like, "What the? Okay, well, I'll call me tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, or whatever." And she's wandering down one of the little alleyways or whatever, and one of these drunken frat boys sees her, and it's just like, "What's up, babe? Yeah, how much do you cost?" And she's like up against a wall, and you can't see her face, but we know the audience knows something's bad about to happen. And he keeps walking towards her, and he comes up close to her, and he's just like pulling off his pants. He's like, "Hey, how much do you cost?" And then he, obviously at this point, he's just going to try and rape her. Well, the camera kind of cuts to her, and all of a sudden she lifts her head up, and it's like some kind of reptilian, crazy looking creature. It looks crazy, and it's pretty freaky. She kind of makes the predator noise.
Yeah.
And he's like looking at her, and he's like, "What the hell?" And then like a tail whips out or something, and then she flips around, and then it just cuts away.
Yeah, I mean the tail, by the way, is the only thing in the movie period that looks kind of out of place because of the budget. I mean, it's computer graphic generated, but and it looks it, but that's the only thing I thought.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's to be expected.
Yeah,
for a film like this, that's when you go into these kind of films, it could have
been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, like I said, you go into a film like this, it's got a low budget, but you just kind of appreciate it for what it is, just because that these filmmakers are working with what they've got and they're doing the best they can with what they got.
Yeah, as long as that's the trick. You don't. I think you don't need to go tackle like stuff you might have in your mind. You tackle your capabilities, and if you can do within your realm of what you're capable of doing, and you do the best that you can, it shows. Even though it's not hitting on what you might have had in your mind, like that big thing, but you get as close as you can to it.
Yeah. This is at the point where the film kind of changes gears too. It goes from being like, at this point, I thought it was going to be horror film from here on out, and it's not. It kind of reminds me of like a David Cronenberg kind of The Fly sort of thing mixed with a sort of a love story. Like the film switches gears completely, and Evan starts wondering if she's. Oh, no, Evan goes over there, and she's just like, "We can't see each other anymore. We can't do it," because she knows that, like.
Well, I think she knows that her time there is kind of
Yeah, she's reaching the end of what we don't know this yet, but she's reaching the end of some kind of cycle that she goes through. So he goes over there. She's like, "No, we can't be together anymore." I mean, she's just like straight up stern with him. We can't be together, yada yada yada. And so he leaves. He goes and talks. He has a moment with the old man that he's staying with, where he's like, I don't know what to do, and the old man's just like, Italian women the best, Italian women the best.
Yeah.
And so he goes back to her place, and when he opens the door, she's like having like she's like in transformation, and she's trying to reach for her whatever
her needle.
her cure, her cure or whatever, or I'm sorry, her serum, and it's clear that it's like just out of reach, and she's like can't reach it, and she's looks hideous. I don't know what she is at this point.
Some kind of weird monster thing, but I mean, it looks okay. It's a lot of practical makeup stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it looks well done. It's just like gross. She's got like tentacles coming out of her. Her face is like half like I don't even know. It's very bizarre looking. Again, think David Cronenberg. And he goes to grab it for her. He injects her. He like stabs her with it straight in the neck. But he's just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, he's like really mortified by it all. And just no, we've got like 3.5 minutes. But
okay, you go ahead and take it from here.
Okay, but to speed this up, he's battling with wanting to be with her for a period of time, and she's chasing him around the city. She keeps saying, throughout that, "I don't love you. I don't love you, nothing like that. You're just a thing," because she does this every 20 years, right?
Yeah,
and she has to get pregnant, and the embryo or the embryonic fluid or something from the baby or whatever is able to keep her age and from turning or from aging, I guess. But she's always this monster thing. But it's some kind of weird, I guess if she gets in heat, kind of, and she starts like changing into this monster thing if she's not having a baby or and then her body digests the baby and then takes the youth from it, sort of. And that's why the heads were missing off animals and things. She was taking the stuff out of the brain, which was like a little snack to a fetus. But but he's like, I love you, wants to be with you. So they decide to go off on this long drive, and she wants to carry him to where she was born in her original family 2,000 years ago. She's 2,000 years old. And whenever they first kind of met in this gallery, they were looking at this art, and that was her in the picture from like 1,000 plus years ago.
There was a scene where sorry, and I'm not going to talk too much. There was a scene earlier in the film where she shows him that she's got different colored eyes, and she pulls out a contact to show it to him. So
that was her in this picture.
Yeah.
So they go on this journey, and she's showing him a bunch of stuff like, I remember when that was built. I was there opening day to that church, and then she goes to this her original home when she was a child, and like it was a volcano erupted, and her parents and brother is still there, like frozen in there. And that's a true thing too. But it does say on IMDb that there is no volcano because that was computer generated in the background there at the end.
Yeah.
And they said that there's actually no volcano there, so they kind of forced that into the territory there. But anyway, so it's coming down to the middle of the night or in the morning, and she's about to make this change, and she's gradually, you can tell, falling in love with him. It shows his face. He hasn't left because if she changes, she'll kill him, right?
Yeah.
Because she told him to run.
Well, it's like unless she falls in love with him.
Right. And then you can hear, like, it focuses in on his face. He's just chatty Cathying it up, and you can hear her changing and like this slushy noise because she's laid across his lap.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is it kind of pans back or something, and she's still herself, so she's choosing to stay with him, which means she'll age and she'll die.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this big love story. So we got 40 seconds. I liked it. Did you like it?
Oh, I thought it was great. I need to watch it again, but it's definitely great.
Yep. So what movie do you have? We got 30 seconds.
Blue Ruin or Sicario pick?
I haven't seen Sicario.
All right, Sicario.
Yeah. Sicario it is for next week, so make sure to watch Sicario, everybody. Where can that be found?
You're going to have to pay for it.
So pay for it, Amazon On Demand or whatever if you want to do it, or if you've already seen it at the theater, I guess. But Sicario next week. Peace out.
Peace.